Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Welcome. I'm Hollis, and welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast. I'm glad you're here, and I'm one of the astrologers here today. I offer private readings and coaching and teaching, and I probably will be doing an astrology class next year after the new year. So you can go to my website. My link is below if you're looking into that. Okay.
Hi there, I'm Bright Hawk, author, artist, musician, storyteller. My book, The Dancing Hippo, you can get it at my website at brighthawkproductions.com. It's a gender-neutral, really fun story about resilience. And our friend...
I'm Lacrosse Ortiz. I am the creator of the Fool's Journey Color Journal, and you can access them through the link below. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
I started doing little updates on TikTok about what's going on astrologically. And
I'm terrible. I think I have like 6 videos. That's it. And
I'm trying.
I'll try again, and then
yeah, I
can't keep up. It's hard.
I'll get it. I think I'll be able to do it. I've done one or a couple of videos, but I want to try to do some more. So my friends, I want to invite you to have a moment to take a little meditation. Just take a little moment to ground your body, to ground your soul into your body and your mind into your body. Take a few deep breaths. And take this moment to allow your body to float and to float upwards. Even imagine yourself staring up at the night sky, feeling it get closer as you float in the ocean. Perfectly safe and calm as you stare at the night sky. What kind of looks like a pitchfork facing upwards comes to you. Known as the pike that Neptune the god holds. This symbol symbolizes Neptune, the god and the planet in astrology. It has finally started to gain traction and go forward. And as it's going forward, you have been revealed. You can see what you didn't see before. It is clear to you what was an illusion, what was not true, and what is truth for you now. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and you can see the fish jumping out of the waters, chasing each other. And Neptune holds you in a gentle rock on the ocean. And you can feel yourself moving towards your dreams, towards your visions, feeling like you're moving forward. Your dreams are starting to manifest a little at a time, very slowly, but things are starting to unwind, starting to be a promise, starting to feel like you are actually getting somewhere. And as your float continues to move forward with Neptune leading the way, as you look back, you can see Pluto just over your shoulder. And Pluto supporting that transition. Destroying anything that no longer belongs. Cleansing the trail that you have come from. Pushing you forwards. Into your hopes and dreams. Pluto pulls you forward, as Neptune pulls you forward, you can feel the positive direction and the change unfolding for you just as you visioned it. And as your spiritual faith becomes a little bit deeper, a little bit more meaningful, Neptune slowly pulls back up into the sky in its symbol, leaving you to feel inspired and seen. And as you take a few deep breaths, you come back onto the land with your feet on the floor, your seat in the bottom, your bottom in the seat. And take a deep breath and wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, open your eyes, and become present here and then here and now on Rainbow Soul Podcast. Great job, Bright Hawk.
Thank you.
All right. So, if you didn't notice, Mercury is definitely headed towards the retrograde. Good grief. That's when I talk backwards. So,
I always feel like my brain gets dyslexic and my words and phrases come out flipped.
yeah, just weird things like that happen sometimes.
Like, you know. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Sag season. Happy birthday to the Sages.
Woohoo! Your birthday's in the following week of this forecast. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
This would be what is called the second decan of Sagittarius, and I'm in the third. The very, very last degrees, seconds, 29 degrees and something. Because that's what a winter solstice.
So
person's
decans
gonna
are
be.
like sections of the sign. So I think it's 10, 20, 30 degrees. So it's you know, each sign is about 30 degrees. And a decan is like the first 10 degrees, the second 10 degrees, or the third 10 degrees. And each decan has a different aspect of that sign. I'm not completely familiar with all of them, but I know like if you have something in the beginning of Saturn in the ninth house, for instance, Cancer in the ninth house, the beginning of that decan tends to be more religious, like religion, like Catholic, you know, whatever the religion is. The second one tends to be a little bit more mutable and less defined. And the third one tends to be a little bit more like Stoic or Buddhist. So that's an example.
Yeah.
Do you know the ones in Sag? Do you know them?
I do.
Okay.
And part of what I wanted to say, and this is why people sometimes find, for example, the generic newspaper astrology where you get your horoscope for the day and you look at it and you go, that doesn't relate at all. This is often why. Because when they're doing that, it's almost always based on the first decan. And that's what we talk about in astrology. When we talk about the rulers, that's usually the first decan. But if you look at the second and the third, if you're in the middle or the last part of the sign, it could have a very different flavor. I know a lot of Sages that are at the first decan of Sagittarius, and I'm at like I said, the very last degree. So if you go in deeper, there's so much in astrology. It's totally awesome how much you can learn. So what I've learned, I don't know the second because I'm not the second, but we know that Sagittarius in general is ruled by Jupiter, right? In the third decan, it's the sun. The ruler is the sun. So so it took me a long time to understand that. And then they also talk about understanding the significance of the very last degree of a sign and the first degree of a sign. The first degree of a sign, they call it the anaretic degree. And in some systems, because there's a million systems in astrology, the more I learn, the more there is to learn. That's for sure. It's a steep, vast universe of knowledge, and very, very old, and some very more modern and very interesting and very accurate. Like, wow, how'd you know that?
But I find that no matter which way you go, it all leads you to the same place. So if you have something at like 28, 29 degrees, maybe 27, some people move it into the next house or sign. So like for instance, my Saturn is at 29 degrees Cancer. So some people might say, well, your Saturn is actually at 0 degrees Leo, which is the next sign over. Okay. It doesn't matter anyway, because it's on my MC. So one way or another, this is what I'm bringing the world. So that's pretty much how it works. Okay.
And we also call that point a cusp. And so if you're born on a cusp, it's really, really good to look up if you're 28, 29, 0 or 1 degrees. All of those are within a cusp where there's a flavoring, and usually there is that destiny thing that we keep pointing to. If you're wondering what you're here for, if you haven't figured it out yet, sometimes cusps point to you are here to master this, and you circle it in the chart because it's so clear and helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's so many different, different things, different ways you can look at your chart. And we're just
Sure.
trying to give you some tips,
Yep.
some fun things to do if you want to look into that. Deacons are defined. There's a couple of websites that have deacons on there.
Absolutely. And that's one of the other things that I think is amazing about astrology is there are a ton of free resources.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn, there's nothing stopping you because there is so much available. The three of us have a great time all the time checking stuff out and sharing with each other sites that have really valuable information. So have fun with it.
Yeah, it's absolutely meant to be fun. And, I'm just going to say the theme this week, other than Mercury actually starts going backwards this week, is that Jupiter. So as Mercury goes backwards, Jupiter starts to slow down. And Jupiter won't go actually retrograde till the end of the month, but it does not move a single degree.
Oh my God, it is such a slow mover. So it's like,
yeah.
So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for
pretty
like
much.
a month, and then
it'll be like that for like 2 weeks.
Now we're going again. So,
but the good news is so, and I'll talk more about that later. But essentially, whatever you've asked Jupiter for, it will start happening when it goes direct.
which is
So
New Year's. This is actually one of
Yeah.
those times where having New Year's resolutions might actually be a good thing.
yeah, as long as you
They're
ask for it
often-
before then.
Often misplaced with the astrology, and the best time to do it is with an Aries new moon when we sort of have our astrological new year for setting intentions. But every new moon is an opportunity to set intentions, and that's what we have this week. We start off the week December 11th with a dark moon, and it's going to be a new moon on the 12th. And new moons are always an opportunity to set new intentions.
Yeah. I noticed the moon up there in Sag. Now, Venus, what I've seen was that Venus is sextiling Mercury. That's like the strongest aspect of it actually will be going on most of the week.
That's very positive.
Yeah, I would say that you'd be able to communicate things that you want or need. You'd be able to ask for things that you want or need. You'd also be able to communicate well in relationships. Hopefully, you're able to say, I love you and things like that. Mercury will go backwards though. So be careful, as it starts to go backwards, that you don't, I don't know, say a double negative or something that your partner could take wrong. Okay. And the other ones, Mercury is still trining Jupiter. It was happening last week. I think I mentioned it. But it will come into a stronger trine as Mercury goes backwards now. So it happened last week and now it's going to happen again. And this is what I keep talking about with this conversation with Mercury and Jupiter, with this interaction. I think I'm going to call them interactions. With this interaction between Mercury and Jupiter, essentially, you want to speak your wishes now. If there's something you want, I'm going to suggest that you say it out loud. Don't just keep it to yourself, although Mercury will go retrograde and there will be a tendency to like wish things silently to yourself. But I think you need to say it out loud because Jupiter, first of all, responds better to that. When you say things out loud, it's sort of like asking the universe for something, right? Like we talk about it all the time energetically. If there's something you really want, you need to ask the universe for it. And sometimes we talk about this sometimes in mediumship where people are like, so do my dead loved ones know everything that's going on in my mind? And I'm kind of like, not really, because they want to give you privacy. So they're not going to like, listen to every thought in your mind. Maybe they could if they wanted to, but they don't. And that's because I think that we need a level of privacy in our minds. But speaking something out loud to the universe, to God, to spirit, to your ancestors, whatever, when you speak it out loud, it's heard. And then there's a vibration that goes with it. And there's a vibration of speaking that carries your energy forward. And then therefore you can bring those things to yourself. I notice that the things I think of don't normally happen. If I'm worrying about something quietly, it will help if I say, this is my fear, or I'm afraid of, or I'm worried about. And then it's just an expression. And then if you also just say, I really want to manifest, I really want to lose 30 pounds, then if you speak it, write it, say it, whatever you have to do, somehow get that communication out. It will go better, especially when Jupiter goes direct at the end of the month.
That's so interesting that you say that, because what I noticed when I was preparing the charts was there's very little air in the chart. This chart is very much a chart I resonate with because it's a lot of fire and a lot of earth, which is what I have in spades. So, we all look at astrology through our own lens, and I'm certainly owning up to that. And I find that fascinating that it's, what you just said, because here we go again on it. The themes point multiple times to the same message.
To bring some air into the world, because we're lacking in it by speaking out loud.
Yeah, speak it. Don't spend a bunch of time in your head and thinking that's going to make a difference. That's what I get. I am one who likes to do, I'm happiest when I'm creating, in one form of another, creating music, creating art, working on the wood, whatever it is. So that's very practical. This kind of week is very practical for doing and manifesting and putting into action what you have already spent, however long you've already spent in your head thinking about what you want to do. You've done that. Now it's put it into,
speak it out loud.
Speak it, say it, do it.
I did notice that the sun is in conjunct Uranus, so that could be a challenge. Could just keep you from taking a step forward. There could be something, a pretty large challenge could be hard to overcome to take your steps forward.
In conjuncts make me go, what's that going to be? They seem to have an energy of their own, and your job is to figure out the thing in the moment. Is what it always feels like with Uranus. Nothing you can prepare for. That's what I've learned within conjuncts. It's kind of like, hey, good to know. All right, we'll watch that, All right, let's get to the new moon day. So, Mercury trine Jupiter, that's pretty sweet. Did you finish talking about that?
Yeah. That's what I was saying about Mercury trining Jupiter. If you want to make your wishes now, speak them out loud, whatever they are. Right. In fact, one of a great suggestion for people that are not necessarily big into Christmas, if you get a Yule log, which is pretty simple, the hardest part is getting some way to put candles in them. So you need someone with like maybe a drill that can put a hole in the log.
It's not hard if you have the right drill bit.
Yeah, if you have a drill bit, it's not hard. But if you don't have a drill, it could be difficult. But maybe you could take it to somebody that does have a drill, and they could just drill 3 holes in there, put 3 candles in there, like taper candles. You could also just get a regular log and maybe put tea lights on there, okay? And then just decorate it with greenery and maybe some ribbons. And this is one of the things that I like to do is every time I light it, I try to at least speak a wish out loud. So one wish is for me, one wish is for my family and community, and the other wish is for the world. So, you could try that, and I'm sure a lot of us would be wishing for world peace. So I'm just saying, it's a great way to celebrate the holiday without having to have a huge tree. It's just a little log that's on your table. You can light it or not light it. It's not a big deal. And then you're supposed to burn it sometime before spring or on Beltane. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a way to, a simple, easy way to do your own creative thing. But it's actually tied to a very old and ancient thing.
It is. There's an article about it on my website. I have a blog post about
And
it.
it's so simple and wonderful. I love that shared intention
Hmm.
and wishes. So the moon, I just want to talk about the moon for a minute because we're headed into a new moon in Sagittarius. And you've often heard me talk about how when the moon is in Sagittarius, it sparkles. It likes being in Sag. And probably because Cancer is, the it cool Cancer, it's definitely emotional, and Sag is definitely on the playful side, so there's that sparkle energy. And of course Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So
Mm.
in on Monday the moon is in a square to Saturn, and then it's in a sextile to Pluto and a trine to Neptune that um, carries on. And in the new moon will be 20 degrees Sagittarius, and Jupiter and Saturn will be having a conversation. So and that conversation, as Nadia, that's her languaging. I think it's a great way to say it. Those two having a conversation, Jupiter's retrograde, and it'll be sextiling Saturn. So remember what we talked about: when the moon is in a certain sign, the ruler of that sign, it's answering to that sign. So the moon is answering to Jupiter, and Jupiter is in a sextile with Saturn. So you see how that conversation happens? So, and all of that is very grounded energy, right? We have Jupiter and Taurus, and Jupiter makes everything bigger. Saturn is in its last degrees of Aquarius, or sorry, is it still? It's in Pisces, there,
It's
right?
in
0 degrees Pisces, 0 1 now. Finally, finally. I'm at zero. My Saturn is 0 degrees, so it's finally moving off. Um, so that conversation is definitely happening. Uh, so an opportunity to hopefully manifest a good structure going forward for yourself, and with all three of those players, the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn.
I feel like on this day, on the 12th, it's really pushing us forward, kind of like what you're saying there. It's pushing us forward because the sun and the moon are trining the north node, and this is about where you want to go. And the moon does rule your intuition. So if you're like, I'm pretty sure I should do this is the day you want to follow that.
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
pretty sure. Okay, so like if you're starting to feel intuitive about something, the sun and the moon are coming on this new moon, which I think is a new moon thing anyway. That's what you're supposed to like kind of use your intuition on that day.
Yeah, for sure.
And
What
then
is it you really want to be manifesting?
mhm.
And of course, a new moon ritual, you can work on what do I want to manifest for this next cycle? 2 weeks, 4 weeks.
This one will be very powerful because it's trining the north node. If you did a ritual,
Really,
Mhm.
really great opportunity to
Mhm.
help manifest. This is great manifestation energy. That's what I just keep getting, is that we're bringing in that earth and fire. So whatever it is that you've been thinking about for a long time, what is it that you need to do? What are three things, or what is the next thing that you would feel so proud of yourself if you did that one thing?
Yeah, and with Chiron trining the moon and Mars, that makes me think about whatever actions you take towards that. It will probably be shedding old ways of doing things that don't make sense anymore.
For sure.
So that's actually a really it's actually a really great manifestation, but also like shedding. There's a shedding feeling. And with Uranus in conjunct the sun, but now the moon joins it. So this makes me feel like emotional. There could be a little bit of emotional explosion, maybe about something you want or something you need to do.
Yeah, that dancing really close together, passing over Mercury and whatnot. Oof. can definitely go both ways, right? And
Right.
if you're feeling, yeah, we gave a lot of warnings last time about check out Mercury and Sag and mindful what if you can take that breath and decide, do I want to react or do I want to respond? And how do I want to feel 5 minutes from now about myself?
Right.
If you can pause that long, you have mastered a moment. Good job. It's
Yeah.
that lean back or lean away from the impulsivity we have to,
Right.
Yeah. Venus and Scorpio, and that.
I noticed by the next day though, that kind of like impulsiveness kind of fades.
Yeah, so I would give a breath for that.
So the impulsiveness tends to be on Tuesday, maybe Monday,
Yeah,
but
I
Monday,
say
Tuesday.
that's true.
If you're like me and you have Uranus on the ascendant, which is very possible if you're non-binary or queer or something. Okay, usually non-binary people have Saturn on the ascendant, but not always. That's not the only way. It's just one way.
You said Saturn, you meant Uranus?
Oh yeah, I meant Uranus. If you have Uranus on the ascendant, you probably are non-binary or queer or something. You're a revolutionary for sure. But anyway, if Uranus is on your ascendant, you might feel it on Monday, but mostly everyone else will probably feel it on Tuesday. Okay. And it will just be a little bit of impulsive, like you might want to impulsively react. So, but Uranus is still retrograde. So, when Uranus is retrograde, it makes me thinking about things, reflecting on what we have done or not done. Now, Mercury retrograde actually happens on this day. Like Mercury actually starts to go backwards. Now, it's been slowing down to do this for like a week, so you might have already started talking backwards. And because I'm a Virgo, I'm ruled by Mercury, so I tend to feel it early. I also tend to get out of it earlier than others, I notice.
Yeah, we've become more and more aware of how it rolls into how the tide comes into our experience. And I'm a Mercury retrograde, so we both notice it more in the beginning, shadow side of it. The first 2 weeks of the shadow period, you and I are both going, there it is. And then usually as it enters retrograde and full on, I think I become more relaxed, honestly.
Well, I think it's interesting because you have Mars in Virgo and I have Mars in Gemini, and both of those signs are ruled by Mercury. And so Mars tends to be super fast and tends to be ahead. It moves really fast. It's not always a good thing, okay? Like people are like, oh, I'm like, I'm not bragging because sometimes I run ahead and I'm like I'm the type that jumps in head first and I really shouldn't. Okay, so that's where Mars can kind of go wrong. But Mars in Gemini and your Mars in Virgo is probably what makes us like feel it earlier, but also finish before everyone else. So it might depend on what's in Virgo or Gemini for you. Okay, because that is where Mercury rules. Okay.
Yeah. That's good to point that out.
Or if she's a Virgo rising, I'm a Virgo sun. So, okay. So that will really depend. So Mercury rules both of them, Gemini and Virgo. So if you're either one of those signs, rising, moon, you're going to feel it stronger than someone that's, let's say, a Taurus, Sag rising or something like that. Okay. So like they're not going to feel it as intensely as a Virgo is going to. Okay. And I noticed that the moon was sextiling Saturn, right, huh?
So the cool thing about that is that that's very positive because the moon has entered Capricorn. And remember how we talked a couple weeks ago about how there are 4 different positions, that a sign can be in: exalted, fall.
Right.
So the thing about when the moon is in Capricorn, it's in its detriment. It's the opposite of Cancer. So it's in a detriment, right? So it means that it's not strong. right? Because Capricorn is the least emotional sign in the zodiac. And the moon is the most emotional sign in the zodiac.
Most emotional planet, yeah, for
Most
sure.
emotional planet, right? So you get how that works, right? So when the sign opposite the ruler is, it's always called usually detriment. So for the moon to be in a sextile with the ruler of Capricorn, which is Saturn, is a very positive, like saves the day, kind of makes nice with Saturn. And of course, Saturn is a very powerful planet, a very big, cold planet, and so
Tends to do with our systems and how we do things and our foundation.
yeah, so if you have something going on at work, this could be a good day. Things might go your way, um, depending on what house it's in for you. I can't, it's too, I don't like to make too big of generalities without everybody's chart is so different. But moon sextile Saturn, I would say things will go well at work, and that's a positive. It on the challenge side, the moon is also squaring Neptune. But squares, remember, are, well, which way is it? Are you going to go left? Or are you going to go right? Are you going to say yes? Or are you going to say no? And so, yeah, that's also going on.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that Saturn, the way Saturn is. So you should look at where Saturn is in your chart, and I would also pay attention to what is that or what is in Pisces for you, because Saturn will be visiting it. So Saturn will be asking you, is this your foundation? Is this who you are? Is this what you want to be doing with your life? Okay. So Saturn's going to be asking anything you have in Pisces. It's at 1 degrees Pisces now. And in the next couple of years, it's going to be moving over top of everything in Pisces. Okay. So, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is there, but will probably move out of there before Saturn approaches it. So, now the moon on Thursday, the 14th, I noticed that I'll let you talk about the moon, but the sun is sextiling the south node, which is actually really great because you probably will realize there's some things you need to let go of or move past or not do that anymore. Maybe I need to not celebrate the holiday like that anymore. Maybe I need to stop buying this kid socks. Okay, but whatever it is, you'll hopefully realize that that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So it will be a good realization. It'll probably be about where you came from or your history of somehow and related to where you're going or what your dream of where you're going is, because the sun is in Sag and it's very much a dreamer as a result. So
high dreamer, like aspirational.
yeah,
That's the word I'm looking
yeah, they
for.
usually have great aspirations. Yep.
So on the 14th, the moon is sextiling Venus. It's also in a square to Chiron. So what does that mean? Square to Chiron means you might have a choice to make around your health. You might know what the choice needs to be, and now you have an opportunity to say yes to it. Are you going to follow through on that thing that you know would help you? Say
Like
yes. Say
one
yes
less
to you.
cupcake.
Say yes to you. The moon is also, you can see, it's passing over, it's Mercury as well. So again, that brings emotionality into the picture and in your communication. Careful what you say, careful who you say it to. Yeah, I would be careful, period.
Well, it's Mercury retrograde time to watch your words.
Misunderstandings just feels slippery, like they can happen faster than you can realize. I didn't mean it. Stop screaming at me. But on the good hand, on the positive, I like to talk about the positive with the moon it's in a trine to Uranus and a trine to Jupiter. And so those are really sweet. That's really, some untold blessing can happen. And that's when I love to say, I'm willing to be delightfully surprised because you get what you expect.
Some surprises, maybe.
So, if you just help the universe understand delightful and you hold in your head and your heart what delightful really is, and trust the universe, that it has a way of working out better than you could ever plan, ask for, proposition the universe. I want it this way. Nah, just be willing to be delightfully surprised. There's a nice energy with Uranus and Jupiter, and that could be something really sweet you didn't see coming.
Right. Yeah, beautiful. On Friday, the sun is going to trine the north node, so that's pretty much, it's going to push us forward into whatever we've been manifesting for the last few weeks, and the sun's just going to go, okay, it's time to go forward now, along with Neptune pushing you forward. Your dreams and visions are really starting to manifest and come true. Things are starting to make more sense. Maybe you're finally seeing, especially with Neptune direct, and your vision, your idea of whatever you've been seeing is probably, you're starting to see how it could all come in, especially with the sun and Sag. You probably have your own ideas and philosophy about that, and making it manifest through the north node, because the north node is where we're headed. It's what we're doing, and that's down in Aries, so it's very much about taking action. And with Mars right behind the sun, it's just going to push you there. Now Mars is trining Chiron in a perfect, pretty much a perfect trine on this day, on the 15th. So Mars is likely to have you take actual action. Maybe you thought about it yesterday on the 14th or the 13th, and now you're actually taking steps towards that manifestation. And, that could really help. And, Mercury is still trining Jupiter. So make sure you're saying what it is you want to manifest as you step forward with your Mars. Mars can sometimes be extra fast, and, we can sometimes go too fast, especially if we have an interesting placed Mars. And so sometimes it can just make us go too fast. So even if you're going too fast, just remember to speak exactly what it is you want.
And mind your words.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moon is, you can see, just conjunct passing over Pluto. So the innermost planet, the moon, the innermost and the outermost, big transformations. You can't always see them till the rear view mirror, and then you understand, oh my God, that's when that started, which created this, which created that, which meant that's Pluto, big transformation. All of us experience it. And so the moon is passing over there, and that is, again, just kind of mind your words. Pluto, of course, rules Scorpio. That's why I say mind your word, because Scorpios have a way of speaking truth, and sometimes speaking truth in a way that can have a sting to it that, sometimes it's, well, so what? And sometimes it's, ooh, I didn't mean to do that.
And with Venus and Scorpio right now,
I'm just saying, just saying. So that's what I see with that Pluto over the moon and Scorpio, Venus.
And by Saturday, I feel like things, things got really positive there for a couple of days, Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday, they stay pretty positive. The positive aspects become more apparent. I can't remember, Nadia pointed out what that triangle there pointing at the moon is. It's a positive aspect.
It's a T-square.
No, the blue one. The one that's trines. I can't remember what she called it.
Okay.
But it's you can see that, see how the moon is sextiling Mars and sextiling Chiron, and then they're trining each other. Yeah. See that little blue triangle?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a aspect, but I've forgotten what it is. Okay, so anyway, the moon is really doing most of the talking on this day, although I will say that Mercury, Jupiter is still asking for your wishes, and Chiron Chiron is, still communicating with the moon, but Neptune is squaring the sun, and that could be a little speed bump in your visions and your dreams on Saturday. So, if you have a little speed bump, don't worry. It's not going to last very long because the sun never stays still for very long. So, so it won't last that long. But mostly it's the moon talking on this day, I noticed.
Yeah.
Mostly the moon and a bunch of aspects.
Yeah, and the moon is sort of mediating a conversation that's a T-square between Venus opposite Uranus. So again, you could make this I'm willing to be delightfully surprised, and maybe it'll be a good surprise. I'm just gonna say, you get what you expect. So try to see it as a good thing. Don't be afraid of change. And it's mediated by the moon, which means emotional. It could be an emotional thing, whatever goes down. Venus, Uranus, and the moon, that is an emotional conversation no matter which way you slice it. So let's hope that it's a good one, not a big conflict blow.
Maybe it's just something you need to speak so that your relationship can shift in a better way. Squares are overcomeable. They are challenges, but they're overcomeable. So then that essentially means that sometimes it just requires an attitude shift or a perspective shift.
Yeah, I could see that, especially the Venus square, the moon part makes me go exactly what you just said. There's that, wait, is this worth it? Is this worth getting dug in? Is this opinion worth
right
my aggression?
Right. And maybe even since the Mars is sextiling the moon, your action would speak louder than words right now.
Well said.
Saturday, your actions will speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's common in relationships.
Yeah.
I will say that in my experience, actions always speak louder than words. Whether that relationship is a friendship, a business relationship, or a romantic relationship, it doesn't seem, even with children, parent-child relationships, actions always speak louder than words.
Yeah. I feel like when I learned to make my word golden, that I felt a lot better about myself.
Yeah, that's a very true saying.
Yeah.
On Sunday, the biggest thing that I noticed was that Chiron is going to become in conjunct with Venus. Venus is going to move into a position where she's in conjunct exact with Chiron. And I just feel like this is a little bit about where we came from, material goods. You might have to let some things go, like material goods or something. Or you might have to become unattached to those things somehow. But also the trine between Jupiter and Mercury retrograde now also becomes perfected while Mercury is moving backwards again. So it was already here, and now it's becoming almost perfected and will become perfected Sunday night. And so when that happens, it's very much about your internal world. So even if you're just speaking your wishes into the mirror, try to speak them out loud. Even if you're just telling a tree that you really want to get better at exercising, take care of yourself better, la la la, whatever it is, you need to speak it out loud. And then, because Jupiter is slowing down, it's stopping and it's listening to what you want, because it's going to go forward, and it will be going direct on the 30th, and it will be in its shadow area, so it will review all of these things that you've been wishing for since like September. All of those things will start to manifest coming true between the 30th and March. So I would be definitely paying attention to that. And the other really important thing is Neptune squaring the sun. Again, that's a challenge you can work through. It's very much about where you're headed and your visions in relation to that. So you might need to shift your vision a little bit. Maybe you have to shift it. Is the moon active that day?
Well, the moon is in Aquarius. And so the moon in Aquarius is going to answer to Saturn as the traditional ruler and Uranus. And so you can see it's about to be conjunct Saturn right there. It's going to pass right over that. So that's who it's having a big conversation with. And it's moving from Aquarius to Pisces. And so, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. So, yeah, we keep talking about Saturn and Uranus is what it feels like, and that your job is to pay attention to your job in this world. Saturn is about the job, the structure, the system. What are you supposed to be getting done and getting it done? Remember, Saturn, while sometimes I hear a lot of people afraid of Saturn, myself included, and it's because there's an inner knowing of there are certain things I need to get done, and they're mine to do, where there's no passing it off on someone else. It's like there's only one you, and there's certain things no one else. You don't need to respond to anyone else. Your inner knowing about what it is you're here to do and you want to get done in this life, in this soul journey. So that's part of what I think and feel when I think about Saturn. And here's the cool thing. If you're doing those things, if you're listening to that inner calling, if you're paying attention and taking steps in the direction of your dreams, in the direction of your purpose, manifestation, what you're here to give, right on, because Saturn will reward that. In my experience, amazing things can happen if you do the work. And people that I don't see doing the work are the ones that I see frequently. No judgment. I'm sorry that it's your experience, having a super freaking hard time. And we all have a hard time from time to time, and we grow from those experiences. But that's there we go. My current experience with Saturn, I have a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, Saturn's like sitting on your Saturn returns.
So what about you, Lacrosse? What do you think of all this?
Well, we're still with the owl. One more week after that, and that's it. But it's interesting how we're talking about vision and manifestations and things that you want. And the owl has what they call 3D or binocular vision. Okay. Which means they can zone in on what they want and get it with precision, which makes sense that here we are in this new moon, and you're saying we should manifest it out. We should speak it out. So it kind of coincides with the owl. Zone in on exactly what you want and manifest. So that way you can manifest it with precision. It's not just speaking what you want into existence, because I mean, you could do that any day, but it's more about the precision. This is exactly what I want, and this is how I want to manifest this. And that'll make it more, I don't know, I guess more successful. It's more about the precision. And I think that's what's standing out to me. Yeah, definitely speak it out, but know what you're really speaking out. Really because it's depth perception too. That owl has depth perception. So know exactly what you want, because that's going to really, really help you manifest that. So yeah, and with the especially with that alignment, I mean, 100%. Get greedy. I want this. I want that. Like literally know what you want and put it in your little bowl, so that way you can harvest that later. So that's what I'm getting from it.
I love that, because when you think about the precision of an owl, you're 100% right. They have such a higher hit rate as a predator than, say, a cheetah or a hawk even.
Yeah.
Their hit rate is like super high.
Yeah.
And compared to, almost any other predator. It's amazing.
Absolutely. So I guess take advantage of this point,
Yeah.
and really, really take advantage and know what you want,
Okay, so everybody wish for world peace, okay?
Please,
Absolutely.
no
With
more killing.
precision. We want it with precision.
Right. Yeah. We're done with this shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah, so I just feel like I that's pretty cool. I feel like the owl, that's why they kind of just sit in a tree and watch
Mhm.
till it's time. And that patience, even the patience of the owl,
Yeah.
the patience of being able to wait until the perfect moment.
Yeah, kind of like we're talking about the Mercury and jumping into it. And that's hard to sit there and say, wait, not yet. I think of like those old movies where it's like they're going to war and the guy's like, hold, before they actually go. So it's kind of
Right.
like that, just
Yeah.
hold, wait, because the longer that you process it and really get detailed and meticulous about it, the better the chances are you're going to really get what you want.
Right.
And
Yeah. Especially when you get detailed about what you want.
yeah,
Make sure you are detailed. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Be clear about what it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do a little tarot reading. I'm going to use the Love is Love deck or the Pride deck. And essentially, um, these this deck is each card is done by a different LGBTQ artist. Okay. And so we have the Three of Pentacles, which is really about support. This is about the people around you, and this is a reminder of how many people support you, who's around you, and how they support you, and how they love you just the way you are. That's exactly what this is about. This is about the people who truly love you, and that you should remember that they are a resource to you. So they want to help you, they want to support you. So remember who your resources are, remember who your support circle is, remember who wants to help you. Keep that in mind going forward. And the next card is the here and now. And this is pretty much about strength and going forward. This is very much about going to get what you want. This is also about um, being present in what you're nurturing. And that's why I say it's very much about what you want, because this is about the gender variance of seahorses, and male seahorses tend to nurture the baby. The baby is actually made in the female, and then she drops it off with him, and he holds it and nurtures the child until it grows, and then let the baby seahorse go, and then the female comes and inserts a new one. um, that's where she puts her eggs. So it's kind of opposite the way humans work. Um, and that's the interesting part, I think, about seahorses. And I think that's why a lot of trans men identify with the seahorse, because a lot of trans men have babies. Not all of us, but a lot of us. And that's what this is about. It's not just about your babies. This is about what you're nurturing. What are you taking care of? What are you focused on? And whatever you nurture grows, right? This is a reminder of what you nurture grows, right? Because Jupiter, although it gifts you things, it also expects you to do the work. you know, Jupiter's going to expect you to step up. So this is about nurturing, okay? And this is the Knight of Pentacles. So it is all about where you're headed and what you're doing, okay? And in the future, coming up, this is interesting because, what we were just talking about is, who are my resources? Who supports me? What are my resources? And then what am I nurturing and how am I nurturing that? And then this is about balance. This is about figuring out the balance of things. Okay, I have to take care of this and I have to take care of that. And you're trying to balance everything. And I think that's how this becomes incredibly important. This is the Temperance card. This is very much about balance. This is about keeping things in balance, and about knowing which way to do things. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, it's an interesting thing, balance. I will say, like, recently I've been trying to organize my space, but I can't do it on one day, right? Because it would, I don't know, probably take 3 days anyway. And so, you do a little bit each day, a little of this, a little of that. And that's how you balance things, right? So you don't have to take 3 days off work to clean your house, right? So, so remember, remember your resources, remember to use your resources. Don't forget about them, because those are people and things that want to be there for you. These people want to help you. And have you ever offered someone help and then they never come and ask for it? You feel like, I guess they didn't really want my help, or I guess they didn't really like me. You almost feel a sense of rejection, right? And so when you think about, like, sometimes people are like, well, I didn't want to bother them. And I'm like, but they offered you. So if they're offering you, then you should take advantage of that. You should say, hey, remember when you said you would help? I was hoping that you would help me with this. And then they're honored to help you, and they feel like they can support you. And I think that's part of the human connection. I think that's natural. I think you're supposed to do that. So, but don't take advantage of people, but also at the same time, if someone offers you help, don't be afraid to go ask for it just because you think they're too busy. Let them say no if that's what they need to say. Okay. And now this is about, what are you nurturing? So tap into your resource group so that you can nurture whatever it is and make sure that it's authentically you, and that you're bringing it forward in the way that you bring it forward. Even in its uniqueness, because if you notice, the seahorse is a unicorn, and that's a symbology for unique. Okay. And so you want to really tap into the nurturing of things and the strength that takes, and the follow through, because that's really what this is about. The Knight of Pentacles is very much about follow through, and that's going to lead us to balance. Okay. So just do your balance, find ways to balance these things, be prepared to balance things as you go. I wished for that, and now it's coming true. Now I have to figure out how to balance all these things. Holy shit. Okay. So that's happened to me. Mars puts me in that situation a lot. So just gonna say, be ready to balance. Try to figure out the balance of things. All right. So I want to thank you for listening today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope everybody has a great week as we head towards winter solstice. We're not there yet. That'll be next week.
Soon.
Yeah, we're almost there. Almost there.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for commenting. How's your week going?
Yeah, let us know. I love hearing about it. And I love your comments, and we love hearing from you. And I just totally appreciate you. Please share, like, comment, whatever, and let us know what you think. Okay. Or what's happening with you, Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
Did you notice when it went backwards, or did you notice before it went backwards in the shadow? All right.
All right.
All right.
I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology, and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology, and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart, so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate, and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.